I'm Coach
Hi.
Amber. Welcome to the Meet RX Success Story podcast. And
Thank you very
today
much.
we have one of our own coaches, Coach Casey, and he's going to tell us about his success story. Hi, Casey.
Hi, Coach Amber. Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what was going on in your life prior to starting the meat-based diet. Like, were you having any health issues or any kind of problems?
Sure. So I got to where I am today. I've been a personal trainer and nutrition coach for the last 13 years. With most of my nutrition recommendations, it's the same kind of stuff that we recommend everybody, where they eat lots of fruits and vegetables and lots of whole grains. And I would notice, right, I would notice that it was just not really working very well for people. For my own personal self, I found a higher fat, lower carbohydrate diet through endurance sports. I was racing road bikes at the time, and there was a coach that did a call with us that talked about how he would have world-class Ironman triathletes, and they would eat like 50 or 60 calories an hour on the bike, and they wouldn't eat any carbohydrates. They would eat things like cream and bacon and butter. And this is 2012. And I'm listening to this going, what are you talking about? That's insane. So I wasn't having any health conditions, but I was always tired. I took a nap every single day. My recovery wasn't all that great for my road cycling. And this was a concept that I'd never even heard of before. And so I slowly started to transition over to a ketogenic diet and noticed a lot of really great benefits. My fatigue improved greatly. I didn't need to take a nap every day. My energy was much better. My hunger, all the things that people talk about. Over the years, I started to turn more and more to an animal-based diet. The first time I had heard of carnivore was the Joe Rogan with Sean Baker, which is now famous. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even think I finished the episode, because I listened to it and got about halfway through and thought, this is insanity. There's no way that you can get by just by eating meat. And so to this day, I don't even think I finished the episode, but it got me really curious. And since then, I've listened to a lot of content from Sean Baker and the others, obviously. And so I started full-time last April in 2019. I transitioned over to a fully meat-based diet, and I have just not looked back. It's been wonderful. I've had further improvement in how I feel and my energy and my mental clarity. It's been really quite wonderful.
That's awesome. Just out of curiosity, have you ever had a weight issue at all?
I have not. I've had periods of time where my body weight and body fat was at higher. I've been relatively healthy for most of my life, but I noticed when I went from a ketogenic diet to a carnivore diet, I was weighing in about 185 when I started. My body fat percentage was about 20%, so not terribly high, but not super low. And when I switched over to full carnivore, I was losing about a pound or two a week and about 1% body fat percentage, like clockwork, just easy. And it was weight that I really didn't think I needed to lose, but it just came off like very easily, very consistently.
Of course, because you're a man. I swear.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Uh,
I know. I can coach dudes that will lose 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds a week easily just eating steaks. And the women are like, what the hell?
yeah, I really kind of hate men for that.
That's fair. That is totally fair.
Oh, well. Okay, so when you did transition into a meat-based diet, what did your diet look like? Like, what did you eat? How many times a day did you eat? Did you include dairy? What about eggs? All that good stuff. And did you have any transitional issues?
Yeah. So my diet was pretty inclusive in the beginning. I was still eating 3 times a day. I would have eggs. I was having a little bit of dairy. So I was eating things like cheese. Any kind of meat was really on the table. My focus has always been red meat and really fatty red meats. But if I had chicken or, shrimp or pork, whatever, I wasn't too worried about it. Initially, I did have to use things like sauces and seasonings to help me kind of get more of the meat down. Since then, I've had a little bit less of that. I also do feel a lot better with dairy fully out of my diet currently. I was doing it before and it was fine, but I just have to say I feel better with it out. My only, I guess, issue initially when I went full carnivore was digestive. It took probably, in hindsight, 2 or 3 months for that to really kind of, yeah, it was longer than a lot of people talk about, before I could have like really solid, number two. But it did normalize very easily after that. Overall, digestion is just so much better. I would eat these giant salads with tons of kale, right? And my stomach would just be in knots and I wouldn't know the difference. That's just what I was doing every single day. And it was super healthy. And once I cut that stuff out, it was just so much better, so much easier.
That's awesome. Could you take us through like a typical day of what you eat? I'm just kind of curious what your plate looks like.
Sure. So currently, I am doing OMAD more days than not. I do still do coffee in the mornings. I will do just a little bit of salt and a little bit of butter and just some MCT. I'll do that in the morning, but I do significantly less than I used to. If I do have a lunch meal, generally it would be eggs, and that's normally sometime in the early afternoon. If I get a full meal, that's more likely to be dinner time when my day is done. I know that I can cook and I can chill out. I can eat as much as I like. I get really full when I eat. Generally it's red meat, but it can be a variety of different things. I do still keep a good variety of chicken and pork and things like that. But for the most part now, I'll fill up a plate. I'll do that once a day, eat as much as I feel like I want to full satiety, and then I will stop, and then I can go pretty easily another 24 hours. And that includes any workouts I want to do. It includes any training with my clients or nutrition coaching, all of that stuff. So it's been very convenient. It's been very easy. It's less money, especially in the times of quarantine. I can fill up my fridge really easily, and it's been really wonderful.
That's awesome. So before we get to the next question, one more kind of interesting thing. What do you think about organ meats? Do you like believe in people should eat organ meats? Do you eat organ meats?
That is a great question. So initially, when I started the diet, I wasn't doing organ meats. As I learned a little bit more and followed people like Paul Saladino, he talks a lot about having organ meats in the diet. I started to transition more into that. I don't have the taste for them at all. And so, yeah, it was difficult in the beginning, right? So things that I would do would be mostly beef liver, and I would either supplement with the dehydrated beef liver, or one thing that I found is that if I sliced liver into small bits, I could freeze it for a few weeks to kill all the pathogens, and then you can basically put it in the fridge overnight, and then I would have just a few pieces in the morning, and I would include that in my diet. I have to say that for the last few months, since the COVID thing went down and I've been at home, for whatever reason, I just haven't been doing as much of it, and I don't notice a difference. I can't tell a difference from how I was feeling before or after. So I'm going to have to just throw up my hands and say that currently I'm not, and I just don't know whether it makes a huge difference or not.
I'm going to agree with you.
Awesome.
Mainly because
Good.
I think it's disgusting, and I've tried.
Yes.
I have so tried. But I'm
Did
just
you?
not thinking it's all that big of a deal for me. I don't think I'm
Yeah,
lacking, but I don't know.
gotcha. Have you tried the supplements at all? Just curious for you yourself.
No,
Have you ever
actually,
done?
I haven't. I have
Cool.
not tried supplements. I'm not a big fan of supplements, but I've recently had to
Not
start
either.
taking supplements for that time of life stupid thing. But,
Gotcha.
that stupid M word, but, but other than that, but I may have
Gotcha.
to try that. Okay,
Cool.
well, you kind of talked a little bit about how things have improved, but would you expand a little bit more, on the whole energy thing and anything else you may have noticed since going meat-based?
Sure. So my primary reason for doing a certain way of eating is to be present in my day and be with my clients, be able to, understand them, help them as much as possible. I need to be starting my days at 6 a.m. and I can't just I know it's way too early. I can't just drag myself into the gym, into an office, and just like kind of coast into my day. I need to be up and counting to 12 and relating to my clients and remembering what we did last week, what our program design is, what their kids are up to, all of those different things. And so that's been the primary motivator for me to be able to show up in life and be really present. And so when I say that my energy is better, I mean that my energy to understand and relate with people and comprehend and not need to stop because I'm hungry or I'm hangry, to have great mental clarity, to put in a 10-hour day, a 12-hour day where I'm seeing people on the hour, every single hour. And I just don't have a lot of time for food. If I can eat this certain way and it's improving my mental clarity and all of those other things, it's so great. It's a wonderful way to live and to be able to help then the other people that I need to in my day. So that's been the biggest thing that I could say as far as improvement.
Okay, well, talking to you, I get the feeling that you have a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of, well, obviously energy. What about your moods and your confidence? Have you noticed a change in that, or have you always been kind of this type of person?
Great question. I've always been a fairly optimistic person, but I would say one of the things that surprised me the most when I first transitioned into carnivore is within, I would say, a few days, my mood and I guess optimism and positivity and the ability to relate to stress were so much better than what they were when I started. And that was really surprising to me. Because again, I've always been a very positive person, but if I had somebody drop off training or, need a refund or cancel sessions or my car broke down or whatever would happen, my ability to relate to those situations, it got vastly better after switching to carnivore than it was before. And again, it wasn't something that was really lacking before, but it was much, much better after switching over to carnivore.
See, I find this so incredibly interesting, and I'm realizing this more and more the more people I talk to. And it was actually pointed out to me from somebody who kind of saw me evolve over time. And it's very similar. The mood, the optimism, the enthusiasm, the confidence. And to
Wow.
me, that was shocking. That's just a really cool thing to continue to hear about. That to
Yeah,
me is amazing. So yay. I'm
that's
glad
awesome.
that you've had the same experience.
Yeah, definitely. And it's pretty consistent. Like you, I've heard a lot of people that have switched over and they've experienced the same thing. That's really cool.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you so much, Casey, for joining us and talking about your success story. And y'all, if you're looking for a coach, Coach Casey, so check him out.
Awesome.
Needrx.com. And thanks again, Casey.
You are very
Bye.
welcome. Have a great day.